episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
All right. Well, this has been a hectic day. Jennifer got delayed. Yeah, well, you got delayed for a good reason. You don't have to tell us, the whole story, but it was a client need that came up right at the last second, and you need to take care of that. So that's where your priority was.
Yes, sorry I was late.
No, it's not a problem. My vast listening audience will forgive you, I'm sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm just glad you're like, hey, you're supposed to be here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I am, but.
Yeah. Well, but things happened. And so anyway, we're going to talk about what's going on at Harvest House.
There's a lot happening.
A lot happening. And
this week is insane too. So
why
extra
is
insane.
Because of the eclipse?
Well,
that had something to do with it?
No,
Okay.
because we have our Vineyard Vibes event on Sunday.
We were going to talk about that
Plus, it's
too.
a really busy week. Mm-hmm. Plus, just all the things.
Well, let's go get through the ads quick so we can get to the important stuff, I suppose. But anyway, thank you, Otto, at our place. Have you been to Gina's yet? By any chance?
No, it's across the street too.
Yeah,
that's how busy I am that I haven't been across the street.
Well, they were so busy in their first weekend they ran out of ingredients.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, and so they were understaffed, and so they've changed their hours. So as of now, they're going to be closed on Monday and Tuesday, and then they're 4 to 9.
Right.
The rest of the time, except for Saturday, they're open till 10. So I guess, you can get something on the way out if you want.
Yeah, I was looking forward to lunch. It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Come.
No,
But people know that the quality is going to be there. So they're just like, I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too.
I know I haven't been there yet, but I'm really excited.
And also our friends over at Wild Cigar, they got a big event coming up this Friday. They get a lot of vendors, national vendors come through, and this is one of them right here, Oliva Cigars. Now, I am not a cigar expert by any means, but if they are at Wild Cigar, they're going to be high quality because they get these national vendors that come in for these events. So this is going on Friday afternoon.
Cool.
And so if you want to drop by on your way home or whatever, pick up an Oliva or whatever, have a drink, have a conversation with people that know a lot about cigars. Okay.
And they're going to be at Vineyard Vibes on Sunday as well. So we'll talk about that later, but they'll be there.
Are you going to bring their cigars with them?
Yep.
Well, that's good. I'm sitting going through all of these shares, making sure they're all good. Okay. I think there's that one and there's that one. Okay. All right. I have to get through all of those. Anyway, Local Life Magazine's out. Came out last week, I believe, and it's always a great edition. I mean, they have really good articles. They have a really good article this month about false profiles on social media. Normally Tiffany doesn't get into that, but I know that it is a problem for her and for all of us. Somebody gets on Facebook or social media under a false name and then spouts off a lot of erroneous or false accusations or whatever. And so, it is a problem. And it's a cowardly way to do medicine. She calls them out, and I appreciate her doing that.
That's good.
Also, thank you to Southern Gym. They got it going on today.
And they received an award on Friday night from the Chamber.
Did they really? I did not know
For
that.
the I think it's the Rising Star Award is the one she received.
At the gala?
The growing business, at the gala.
Gala got it at the gala, okay.
Gala, got it at the gala. I know, she is, that was great. You should have seen this beautiful ring she donated for their raffle. Holy moly.
Yeah, well, that's like her. And she's also doing an event on May 4th, my wife put that together. Isn't that good? It's on the Kentucky Derby Day. May 4th is a busy day. It's Election Day. It's City on the Hill Day. It is Kentucky Derby Day.
I'm going to be out of state, I just realized.
Well, the early elections start next week.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so you can go by early.
Okay, sorry. All of a sudden I was like, sorry, but I do like to vote.
Yes. Especially in local elections. I
do.
Push that on my students all the time. They think, it's not going to matter. Like, you kidding? The local
really matters.
Does. But anyway, they're going to have an event tied with the Kentucky Derby, and they're going to benefit Wings of Hope, and I have them on the show on the 29th.
Another one of my favorite organizations.
I met them at the Burleson area showcase for the Chamber, and I don't know much about them, so they're going to tell me all about them.
Oh, it's such a great organization. I have so many friends who were impacted by their services.
Equine therapy, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk all about that, and they're going to have raffles, and they're going to have get-togethers, and they're going to have decent drinks. I think Wild's going to be part of that as well. I think they're going to be helping out with that. I guess Wild is trying to branch out a little bit, which is a good thing.
That's good.
It's a great thing. Also, our friends over at Two Maids with Brenda Ramirez, twomaidscleaning.com/Burleson or 817-764-0733. They'll come by, they'll take care of your house. You pay them based on your rating, not their hour or whatever it is. So they'll be very motivated, and they do a lot of big businesses too. They do the Windmiller Building, including Southern Gym, and several of my B&I friends use them, and they just rave about Brenda.
Well, they've got to have a good background check too if they're going into Southern Gym.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
I mean, they've got to be good because not just anybody's going to go into that store.
Right. It's true. And I asked Brenda about that before because I wasn't really thinking about Southern Gym. I was thinking about going into people's homes. And they have a very detailed background check.
Well, I don't know them, by the way. So I need to use them. My house really needs to be clean.
Yes. And you could do it on at one time, or you could do like they call a deep clean, or they can get it on a monthly or bi-weekly or whatever. A lot of the B&I people use them for themselves, and they use them for like one of their older parents. I mean, that really is helpful. Nice. Also, thank you to Old Pro Roofing. I bet John's busy today and will be tomorrow because apparently we had some bad weather north of here. They keep saying that we're going to get it, but I really do believe in the Burleson bubble. I do too. I hear all about these storms around us, but I tell you, the last time I had a storm that I actually had to take shelter in my own home was probably about 20 years ago.
Not too long ago, we had that big hail.
Well, in the west part of Burleson, but we didn't get it.
Oh, really? I got it. My car's got some damage.
We got some hail, and I got tiny dents in my car, a little bitty. But on the other side of town, it sounded like they were throwing bombs.
It did. It was like a war zone. I think I still have mine in the freezer.
Okay.
It's so big.
Well, call John at 817-734-2756, and he'll come check your roof out. Even if it's good weather, which I always say this is a good time to check your roof, is when the weather's good, so you're good to go. Also, the fact is that insurance companies get more and more difficult, so you want to make sure that you have somebody that's knowledgeable about your roof. And
insurance rates for the percentage of, they're going up to 2% kind of across the board. So make sure you talk to your insurance people and your mortgage people and make sure you got it right, because because of the storms. I know too much about these things.
Yeah. Well, we have a new member of BNI, a young lady that does insurance. So if y'all are interested in that, I'm going to try to get her on the show too to talk about insurance rates. But I tell people at BNI, come on the show, like Candy here, or Candy Gal. They were all, oh no, it's not like going on some daytime TV show like Kelly Clarkson or something like that. It's a lot.
It is just like being on Kelly Clarkson.
Well, my wife wants me to get her on the show, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. That would be fun. That would be. But anyway, Camco with Sammy Campbell, 817-778-4592, or Candy at 817-925-2661. They're in the B&G building. They have a second floor office. It's directly across the street from Fish City. You like Fish City? Robin really does. I'm okay about fish. All right. And I'm sure their fish is great.
I would eat fish every day if I could.
She would eat it 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like, I do it because I love you. And I can handle salmon, but I'm not a big fish guy. But she not a big Mexican food guy, so a girl. So she accommodates me there. So we accommodate each other. Anyway. Events coming on. We do have your vibes coming up, but I want to also announce 2 weeks from now we have the Walk for Life, and that's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. Amazing organization.
Yes, they were on about a week ago, and they gave away nearly 200,000 diapers last year.
Wow,
that's a bunch. I mean, you think about that. A lot. Yeah, and so check them out. Also, I had on the show about close to a month ago now this particular group, the Amanda Mann Clark Project, about colorectal cancer awareness. And they're having the cornhole tournament over at Martin House Brewing in Fort Worth. And
I just love their tagline here, cornhole for buttholes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to participate in that?
Well, we had the 3 representatives from there, and they're all nurses, and they're all talking very graphically about how they check for colorectal cancer. And like, you're scaring me, ladies. But talk about the need for colonoscopies in particular, which everybody dreads, right? But they've improved that stuff you have to drink to the point where you can live with it, as opposed to
somebody I know took tablets.
They have those,
and
too.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the only reason people don't want to do this is because they don't want to drink that stuff because it's so gross.
Yeah. It can be. Well, anyway.
Wow, you brought it up. I mean,
I know.
It's your fault.
Well, let's talk about what's going on in the house. I drove by the other day and I saw your sign. So your needs are up 60%. And does that mean that your demand for your food and whatever else has gone up that high?
Yes, and it's not just us. I mean, I know you've had Promises and Crowley House of Hope. We're all serving about the same amount more.
Oh, well, I'll be talking to them Thursday.
Yeah. So
and you're all friends,
I actually
right?
just checked in with both of them, and when I talked to Crowley House of Hope, I think they had served like 920 families in February. We were right at 900. Promises was slightly lower, but like still they were at like 800, 750, something like that. A year ago it was 340 something. So it's a lot of, at least for us, and I don't know the other organizations, I didn't get deep into my questions with them, but we do check in with each other, just like, hey, is this just me or is this everybody? And you'll see it on North Texas Food Bank, Ternary Food Bank, all talking about how food needs and insecurity are going up with food prices. I mean, I bought groceries the other day. I got some ramen and some other like nothing milk. It was just almost nothing. And it was $62 or $67. And I'm like, I didn't buy anything. And we're seeing that. And you're seeing a lot of, and we've talked about this like the last couple of months, a lot of middle-class families, a lot of newer families, people who've truly never asked for help before, but when you've got insurance rates going up and you talk to any insurance person with all the natural disasters, the insurance rates have to go up for them to keep up with coverages. And then we have our tax appraisals going up. Now, I will say this one thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens in May. Because I did get my new summary for my mortgage, and it is going down $200 a month.
Because of the statewide.
That tax. But I mean, it's still up 200 from what it was when I bought my house 2 years ago. But, there's a little teeny bit of relief there maybe, but like you've got gas and electric rates. I know my gas bill this summer or winter, it was winter? I don't even know what season it is. This winter, it was like almost $300. And I'm like, whoa, that's really, really, really high. It normally would be like 120, so you just, all the things, and you collaboratively put those together. And people are like, I can't cut anything else because there's nothing else to cut.
What I hear that also disturbs me is they're putting off medical needs, procedures, pharmaceuticals, whatever. I mean, for a long time, I had a friend that needed to go to the hospital, not because his life was in danger, but he needed to go and have things checked. And he kept putting it off because his deductible was so high. And he finally went. And it all came out fine. Right? There was no, they didn't discover cancer or anything like that. But I'm just saying, for a lot of people, though, that's how they live. It's like, okay, I can either pay for my medicine or pay my rent.
Right.
And I've heard that more than I care to. I mean, I hear that more and more often. That now we're not talking about, okay, I'm not going to splurge on some sort of vacation, or I'll let my refrigerator purchase go another year from now. Now we're talking about cutting necessities. And that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Because I talk to people that are involved with Promises that are at my church, and they're telling me the same thing.
Yeah.
And, when I saw drive by and see that sign, and I used to seeing that sign say, we need this, or we need that. When I said, we need everything, we're up by 60%.
Yeah. So when you look at our budget, like we budgeted well. I mean, like we're on budget with what we anticipated for income, for food donations, but it's not keeping up with that extra 60%. And so that's why we're always asking. We do have Vineyard Vibes coming up on Sunday, and that is a fundraiser. So it's $15 to get in if you buy your tickets ahead of time. It's supposed to be 84 degrees and sunny, so come on out.
We have it right here.
Yes. So we've got Texas Whiskey and You, and if you don't know Andrew Dolan, that is his newest
Andrew Dillon's been part of the music scene here for quite some time.
Yeah, so that's his new thing, his new gig. He's the frontliner on that. Riley Gilbreth and Lone Star Blue, that he's from Crowley. I think he's like 19 or 20. They do bluegrass. Like, I'm so excited. We do have some links that have gone out. I don't know where they are exactly this point. And then Susie and the Sissies, and they do more rock and roll. So we've got a real variety of music. It starts at 1. From 1 to 2, we'll have just some artistic motion dance studio and some other things. We'll have food trucks. I know the brewery's coming out. We'll have ice cream, and I can't remember what the other one is, but we'll have food out there, and we'll have vendors.
Wild, right?
Wild's going to be there.
Yeah.
We'll have vendors. So, and this year we're going to be, and now it's going to be beautiful. So we're going to be on the tree side, so everybody can find a shady spot. Bring your chair out. Listen to some great music, shop around. And we've really tried to be particular about our vendors this year. I mean, there's so many vendors and they do such great stuff, but to not have too many of the same things.
Right.
So we have a few less vendors because we really want people to feel like they're having a great shopping experience when they do that. We have FWTX photography. We've got Joni Lynn photography. One's taking pictures, one's selling pictures. We've got jewelry. We've got that freeze-dried candy. I can't remember the name of their company.
I can't remember it either.
Oh my gosh, they're coming. I'm so excited. Is that silly that I'm so excited?
No.
That was just the most unique thing ever. But those are some of the people that are coming out. It's just a fun thing. You go to church, you come out, and you just hang out with your friends, stay as long as you'd like.
Have a glass of wine.
Have a glass of wine. So if we sell enough wine, then the venue is free. So we need to sell a lot of wine. So grab a bottle, take it home.
Okay, so it's not just by the glass, but
it is by the glass, but
right.
It's actually cheaper if you just buy a bottle. Though.
That's exactly
and then
right.
It also benefits Harvest House more to make that, because it is a fundraiser. And then if we sell more than the amount that we need to, then they give that back to us. So
how about that?
Yep. So the winery has been absolutely fantastic to work with. We love working with Roxanne and her team.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that going on in that winery. It's becoming like the event place almost.
It is. And so we're also going to do a food drive that day. It was a kind of last minute. You know what? Hopefully we're gonna have tons of people there. No, you don't get a discount. Just we really need to feed people in our community. Right. Would you think about bringing a can of food?
Bring a case.
A case. We just don't need green beans. Please don't bring green beans. I have 3 pallets of green beans. So that's not an issue. I have more than enough green beans, but unfortunately we have more than we can take.
Oh, how do you buy the tickets? I see a QR code.
QR code.
Okay.
Right there. If you do that or go to yourharvesthouse.org, just scroll down, you'll see this Vineyard Vibes logo. Click on it and you can buy your ticket. They're $15 each or $20 at the door.
And tax deductible, guys. They aren't they? It's a charity?
It's not a tax deductible.
Crud.
Sorry, because you're getting a ticket for it. So you can't, it's only it's only deductible if you're not right.
Yeah.
He's obviously not an accountant.
No.
So you can only get a write-off if you're not receiving any goods or services for what you're getting.
Oh,
so that's why you don't, for raffle tickets and things like that, you can't get a tax write-off for those things.
Well, we'll see. Anyway,
that's between you and your CPA. I'm telling you.
No, my CPA, a gentleman named John Stanley, and he.
You may not want to throw him out there because you're saying.
No, I'm saying he grills me. All right.
Okay, good.
And I mean, I've used him for a couple of years, and it's like, okay, the IRS can't be much worse than this. I mean, because he says, "What about this? What about this? What about this?" Well, you can't use that. Writes it off. Oh, you can't use that. No, you can't. And scratches it out. And so I come back and said, I think I was going to have X amount of deductions. No, about half X. So I'm not throwing John out there. I'm praising him, I guess. That
and that just reminds me, I'm walking around with my taxes and I haven't dropped them off at Oates Financial. And I'm like, I just keep forgetting.
Yeah, I know.
So bad.
Well, okay, so that Vineyards and Vibes thing is a great thing. But, really what's happening is you need support on a weekly basis. It sounds
we do need support. And I tell people, the best way, I don't care if you have $5 or $100 a month to become a recurring donor. That is truly for any organization the best thing for us. Because if it's recurring, whether it's $5 or $100 or more or whatever, then you know how to budget for it. We know what we can most likely expect. It really helps us. And we can buy things in bulk too. So
wait, I want to interject something.
Go. Yeah.
I was on a monthly. I noticed on my last credit card, I didn't have any charge from y'all. What happened?
So we did switch in January. You should have received an email.
I did, but I had a deduction, I guess, or a hit on January and February's credit card bill. But I didn't get one in March, and so
I don't know.
So I guess we're going to have to reestablish that whole thing.
Did your card expire? Because sometimes that happens.
My card expired about a year earlier, so and I had to do all that stuff all over again.
That I don't know. Well, that's good to know. If that happens, please let me know because that shouldn't happen.
Well, I'm going to get when this afternoon get back home. I'm going to do all this.
Well,
other
and
stuff,
I can go look even before I leave. So
okay.
I should be able to look on our site, but
Maybe I just or overlooked it, but I looked it over 2-3 times because when I get my credit card bill, I paid at the end of the month, and I split out the expenses so I know where my money's going, and I got a tab for tithe and charity and all this other business, and I noticed I just didn't find it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's not in a good kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I need
because we need your support. So yeah, I will. Before I leave, I'll look at it.
Okay, and but as far as back to the 60%, I'm just astounded by that because I've been in your place before, and it looked like when I was eyeballing, this is about 3 or 4 months ago. It looked like you were pretty busy. It looked like everybody's getting what they need more or less. But now, are you having to turn people away?
No.
Okay, but or they're leaving without everything they need.
So. Kind of how that's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. So we fill up at the beginning of the day to best of our abilities our shelves. Mm-hmm. So there's not the variety, there's not some of those things sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I'm just gonna say when we go out there and say, hey, we need you, at the end of the day, I can look at our shelves and they are empty. Mm-hmm. And we'll say, hey, we need more help, and people just it's sort of that whole thing where God's been providing enough. Now people are certainly not getting the variety they did before. And sometimes they just get green beans because that's all the vegetables we have. I'm just being real. I have 3 pallets of green beans.
I hate green beans.
I'm not going to go buy other vegetables when we have 3 pallets of green beans.
How about corn? Is that another?
Oh, people
popular?
love corn.
Okay, yeah.
Anything but green beans. I don't know what it is. Asparagus, potatoes, all of it they will take. But we just have so many. And even if we give them 2 or 4 cans, people, I don't know why. I like canned. That's probably one of the few canned vegetables I like, canned green beans. They got to be French cut though.
That's the worst.
No, they're so good.
No, they're not. But awful.
But most people feel that way. I don't know why.
Well, when you said potatoes,
canned potatoes.
But that's my point. I can't just drop off a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, fine. All right.
We love fresh vegetables even better. And now that we're getting into the growing season, if you've got a backyard garden and you have extra, bring it to us because people love it.
Well, for the first time in about a decade or more, Robin and I planted a garden. Huh. We had a garden spot, and in early 2010 to 11, whatever, the heat tore it up, and so we said, we're working too hard for this. But we put one in, and so far it hasn't sprouted hardly anything. It's still early in the season, but because we kind of got a late start. But if I have several extra bell peppers, I like bell peppers, so I could bring those by. But I thought there was some sort of
you just have to
procedure or whatever.
You just got to tell us where they were grown.
Okay, so
we just need to know where they were grown. So
my backyard is fine. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We just need to know the source, and I know that the health department and stuff wants that just in the event that there's how you get spinach has whatever disease it has or bacteria. Right. It's just so they can source it. It's not usually a big deal with backyard gardens. We can take professionally processed venison or any of those things. They do have to be professionally processed. We can take frozen. We've got a walk-in refrigerator, walk-in freezer. So we can take actual fresh stuff. Eggs, milk. A lady I met the other day, turns out I did know her before, but she brought 3 gallons of milk and a whole bunch of paper towels. And it was this is so great,
Wow. So, since I'm growing my vegetables next to this nuclear waste dump, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, good. No, yeah, I know, but I hope it works.
The waste dump? No,
well, that
okay, I want you to tell me how you get nice. My bell peppers are always bitter. There's something you have to do different, and so if anybody can tell me, because I love bell peppers and I've tried to grow them 3 times and I'm done.
And they're expensive. They really are, particularly the non-green ones, I guess.
Yeah.
They really are expensive. That's one reason I'm not going to save money doing the garden, but
Well, just save the seeds and plant the seeds. Then you would save money.
Well, the seeds are cheap. It's the preparation of the dirt and all this. And I had to buy a tiller and all that other stuff, and all that.
Doing above ground garden is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Just keep dumping fresh dirt and compost and stuff in there.
Well, I hope it works out with
my green onions are doing great. So that's what I was thinking. I'm about to chop them and bring them in.
Well, yeah, we got some onions coming. What really bugs me, not bugs, it's not the word, bothers me, is the idea that some of these people, I mean, you're like one step away from the wolf, so to speak, you know. For a lot of people, if you weren't there, Promises wasn't there, House of Hope wasn't there, there'd be a real problem in a lot of people's lives. I was there at the House of Hope about 2 weeks ago to set up the show we have Thursday, and Elizabeth was showing us her facility, and they have that food pantry in the back, and in came a client, you know, a young Hispanic woman and a young child, and I thought, you know, if they weren't there, what would have happened to that young child, you know?
No, it's real. And, you know, our big focus this year has been on preventing homelessness because, I mean, yes, you have to have food, but you also have to have shelter, you know. And I was sharing not too long ago, like a job I used to work at. I used to work at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I went to a family's home, and this was like 2010-ish, somewhere around there. And, you know, this mom wasn't eating so that her kids could eat. And that happens a lot. And that was a long time ago when things weren't as hard. And I don't want to get into like people's choices and stuff like that. I'm super excited. We are working on a program that's going to be a long-term stabilization and restoration program. And in the next year or two, you're going to see and hear a lot more about that. Hopefully by the fall, we'll have gotten some legs on that. And it's very exciting. It's something totally new that nobody else is doing. And I'm really excited about it because, and that's going to be a whole nother thing that we're going to need community partners. You know, like right now we also really need volunteers. And I know we've had a kind of a hiccup in our system, and every once in a while I find we get this emails go to the wrong place. Somebody doesn't see it, whatever it is. And so I apologize if you have applied to volunteer and nobody's gotten back to you. I think we've fixed that gap. But we really need volunteers. I mean, it is time in the resale store. We get sometimes 7-8 cars in a row unloading, and we have to process that stuff fast. And I'm going to tell you, that is a fun job because you're like, man, this is so weird. Like, you don't want to buy it all, but like people bring in the coolest stuff. Like it's odd and it's cool and it's fun and it's weird. And, you know, it's just a fun job to work in the resale store when you're sorting donations. I mean, it's a little bit boring sometimes too, but like it's interesting.
But you have paid staff also, right?
We do have paid staff, but I need more staff than I can pay.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I need to feed people rather than...
Because I get it. Because
I want to pay my staff a reasonable salary, and that means it limits how many people I can hire. But the other part of that, there's a lot of workforce programs, like kids who are getting out of high school or out for the summer. You know, there's some cool workforce job programs that the government will pay you. Well, really, we're paying the taxes. We're paying it. Well. But I'm just saying it doesn't come out of Harvest House budget. It gives you job experience. I mean, there's specific ones for individuals with special needs. Just reach out to the local workforce or me if you're interested in participating. There's even some programs for seniors, like if they're below the poverty level and need a job. We'd have one lady who works with us through it's called the SERSEP program, SER-SEP. And I don't know what they call it, something else. That's what I call it. But, you know, we have a lady who's been there for quite a while. She helps in the pantry. She, I believe, is partially disabled and just works great. She's there a few days a week. And so there's a lot of ways that people can come and help. And if you do need income, there's ways outside of that. And a lot of those workforce programs are like a certain number of hours. So they would work for the summer or work for the fall.
Do you ever contact schools? Because I know some of the schools have groups that need service hours, like Honor Society.
Yeah, and we have had quite a few National Honor Society students and stuff. So I think this summer I'm going to take a little bit different approach and just see if we can actually get like more like an internship type of a thing as opposed to just come and volunteer, because we really need that consistency. I need somebody who can organize, who's strong, because I've got a whole building that just needs to be reworked. 1 or 2 people to just clean it and go through stuff and organize it. You know, those are the kinds of things we need. Like, it's not on a time thing. It just needs to get done. I was thinking today, because I was over there and I was like, man, this would be a great job for a high school student who just maybe needs community service hours, who maybe wants to work 2 hours a day to get those hours and stuff. And really, it doesn't feel like you're giving back sometimes when you're doing administrative stuff, but those are the things that are so essential that we sometimes just don't have time to do.
Right. It's a behind the scenes business.
It is. And it's like,
Right.
there, you know, if you really, I really need somebody who's organized.
What, you're not organized?
You know, no, I am in some ways, just not in others, but I need, not with paper. Me and paper, if you ever come look at my office, there's paper everywhere. Cause I'm just like,
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind. They say
too.
that's part of an ADHD thing. Cause if it's out of sight, I don't remember, but there's a lot of things I'm really good at.
Yeah, well, obviously. Well,
But-
I just wondered also, you know, about, you know, the kids and all that. I don't know if it's still at BHS, but my last few years at BHS, I was part of a program called PALS, which is an acronym for, you know, I forget now. It's been a while, but it basically
Peer something, leadership something.
peer-assisted leadership. Yeah, right. And see, you know better than I do. But anyway, I
think they had it when I was in high school. That's where I got it from.
it is a national program. It isn't something that BHS thought of itself. And part of it was that we would spend like once we got up and running, about 3 out of the 5 days out of the week, usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they would go and work at some nonprofit or something like that. Several of them worked at Rachel's Hope. Several,
Interesting.
Yeah, a couple of them worked at a local church for daycare. Of course, that was, you had to have background check for that one, and also, but you know, these are 16 to 18-year-old kids, and so hopefully they don't have much of a record. But they worked another one. Couple of them worked with Promises.
Well, I'll look into it. I'm actually going to go of Rotary after this, and I will actually talk to some folks. Randy Woolsey's there.
Oh yeah.
So
and it'd be
over CTE.
Yeah, it'd be part of her program. I don't know. I don't know if they do it anymore.
I bet there's something like it, because that's really just so. As anybody might be listening, you know, we definitely need your help financially, your time. And we can't, the biggest struggle for us is we cannot take large groups. So they have to come in like 4 or 5 at a time, because more than that, I mean, we have a small building and a small facility, and it's just too much.
Right.
It's not safe. So, in some groups that's harder than others.
Well, those are avenues you might want to look at it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's been about 8 years now since I've been at BHS. It seems like just yesterday for me, but no, it's 8 years. And
I
so,
know. Well, that's about almost as long as I've been at Harvest House. So
yeah, and
2016.
2016. I put the paper down in February of 2016, and there were hosannas and rejoicing. I could hear all the way from down the street, and so there you go. But as far as
That's awesome.
but as far as other needs, and besides just food, I mean, like our friends at ASD, when they come and ask for help, they need like paper towels, paper plates, clean wipes, all this. Is that also what you could use?
We can, but honestly, our main thing is food. And then your donations to the resale store. And then honestly, go shop at the resale store, because all of those, like the proceeds from that, go back to help us buy food, to pay our salaries, and all of those things. So like the stronger the store is, the stronger our program is. Because that's why we did that and why we grew it, is so that it's less, hey, Brad, I need some money. But at the same time, I mean, Harvest House is a community organization.
Yes.
And it needs to be that. So it's not Jennifer's organization. It's not our staff. It's not our boards. This is a Burleson organization that doesn't belong to anybody except the community. So it stays strong when the community supports it. Now, the other thing you were talking about, kids. So school's going to be out in a month. Whew, my gosh, month and a half.
Yeah.
So I know it's 7 weeks, because my kids are like, it's the last 6 weeks, but it's really 7 weeks. But anyway, then we start our summer food program. So we've been serving 900 families a month, and it normally goes at least like half of that. So we could be serving 1,500, 1,700 this summer.
These about June, July, and August. You may be doubling your
Pretty close.
requirements, so to speak, your requests.
So our needs. So
your needs.
Right now we're in the process of doing that and communicating. I know that 88.3 The Journey is going to do Food for Kids drive, and then
Promises does, school lunches, so to speak, during the summer.
So they do a thing through Ternary Food Bank, and they can go. I don't really know exactly how that works. When people come to Harvest House, we give them their family food, and then food for their kids that should last approximately 10 days, and then they can come twice a month. So their second food batch might be a little bit less, but then they get the kids' food again because it doesn't last all month. We know that.
Well, I've heard of school districts, and I should find out if BISD does this, but some school districts stay open, or cafeterias do during the summers.
They do, but it's usually 1 or 2 campuses, so you have to be able to get to those campus, and you have to eat on the campus.
Right.
And so it's great if you live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's harder if you don't.
Well, I know that we have a lot of kids on free and reduced lunch. Now, the thing about it is, to be clear about free and reduced lunch, we at BISD had an incentive to get them on free and reduced lunch because the more we had, the more eligibility we had for certain types of grants, many of which didn't have to do with food at all. Like reading and science material and that kind of stuff. But I know for a fact that we had a lot of kids that was breakfast and lunch was about the 2 meals they could count on, and the rest of the days, some days they didn't.
And it's really hard during the summer because if they can't get to those schools that are open, a lot of these parents work, and so the kids are home alone. They can't afford camps and day camps and daycare and all that stuff because that's expensive, and so they're home. So you have to have those foods that are kid friendly, cup of noodles and macaroni and cheese and things that they can make, sandwich stuff. We usually do things like during our summer food, so this is a great thing if people want to donate. We'll do hot dogs and and maybe chicken nuggets and then some other snacks and things so that they have 2 meals. So they'll have cereal, let's just say cereal and hot dogs. And then the next week it'll be cereal or breakfast bars and lunch meat or peanut butter and jelly, things that they can make. And the idea is we're just trying to help them get through the day when they would normally getting school food. So we're not trying to in anything that we do, we cannot provide all the food somebody needs. That's not our job. Our job is to help assist and to fill that gap. And we know there's a huge gap in the summer for kids. So we just do the best we can.
What I think also people need to get out of their head, in a sense, was that it's only a certain part of our town or certain area of our town that use your facilities. This everybody does, because I know of some people like go on free and reduced lunch. They really live in pretty nice homes, and you think, well, why do they need free and reduced lunch? Why? Because their dad lost their job, or they're basically renting and they're about to be evicted. Even though on the outside it looks
pretty.
Yeah, it looks like they've got it going on.
I don't mind sharing this story, and I don't think my husband would either. But back in 2015, we moved into a really nice house. It was the most expensive house we had ever lived in. And 3 weeks later, my husband was laid off.
Right.
And I literally did not know what we were going to do. I didn't know about Harvest House. I didn't know about these services. Thankfully, our church helped take care of it with all of my heart. I wish I would have known about. I wish somebody would have said, "Hey, have you thought about a food pantry?" I needed that help so bad. I was so scared that how are we going to make it? I made a very small amount of money. I think I made $40,000 a year, and that's basically what we were living on then. And we wouldn't have made it except for our church family supported us. And that's what I think the church is for. But even still, we have community, and people don't have those communities, and not all churches are able to do what my church was able to do for a little while.
Which church was this?
I don't think they'd want me to tell.
Okay, fine.
Honestly, they don't do it. They don't do it for public.
Okay.
They kind of.
I got you.
But they're really good about taking care of their people. And
I just want to point it out because it isn't it's for those people in that part of Burleson that maybe the houses are smaller.
No, we were living in Shannon Creek.
Yeah, right.
We had a beautiful house. It was a $250,000 house.
Yeah.
And I felt so guilty living in that house because I was like, I can't afford this house. And so there's all this emotion that comes with it. People are just so embarrassed to come.
Right.
So don't think people are there's a few people in the world who take advantage of this system, okay? Every system. I don't care what system, I don't care who you are, anywhere in the world. There are that 1%, 5%, whatever percentage you want to put on. It's not most of them. Most of the people who come to us really have a need and really don't know what to do. But today, we have the workforce there. There were people actually meeting with the workforce. I heard this guy saying he was an older gentleman and he had gotten laid off, and he's like, I really want to work. So we're trying to bring in those resources to get people away from needing us. And so there are ways to do that, and we're trying to do that. And then with our program that we're going to be starting most likely in the next year or so, not next year. I think it's going to be in the next 6 months to a year. And I can't wait till we get all that approved by the board and everything, because I think we'll be able to run. I think it's going to be something this community is going to get behind, and we're going to be able to really make a difference.
Well, in the next 2 weeks, I have 4 candidates coming on the show for city council. I'm going to ask them these questions. What can the city do about this? Private charity is great, but we as a city also need to address this issue. And so I'll be asking them those kind of questions. But here's kind of an odd conundrum. I wonder if, because y'all are so effective, because of promises, because of Next Step, whatever, Burleson has become known as a place where you can get help. And so people are migrating or kind of drifting down here for it. Is that possible? That because we're good at this, because we have that reputation now as being a spot that people can get help, that we're having more people
possibly.
arriving
211 also directs people here, and we're actually having that conversation with 211 because they're directing people who are like from Dallas. And the reality is we want them going, not because they aren't welcome, but like if I don't have money, I don't need to be driving from Dallas to Burleson.
Right.
So we're also doing some investigation on the zip codes that are coming that may be out of our area to help them find the places nearer to them. But that's how desperate people are. I mean, that's just the reality. And some places have a lot of hoops to jump through, and they just want food.
I just think because y'all's reputation has grown, and
I do believe that's part of it.
That you become said, okay, I know where to go if I need help. I know the kind of community Burleson is, and it's a problem that I think we can address and work towards.
Yeah.
But I would not want a different reputation. I would not want a reputation of a town that's closed its doors to these people, or basically just closed its eyes to its own residents that need help. No, I'd much rather have this problem, I guess, than the problem of being stingy and hard-hearted as a reputation for your town.
Because we're serving like Everman and such, and we have forever, it also allows us, because now we're there 2 hours on Thursday mornings. And so we have a facility that we're actually doing services out of. It's open doors for funding from Tarrant County that we weren't able to get before. So part of our reach, even to some of those, since part of Burleson's in Tarrant County, but Harvest House is in Johnson County, we had to not only reach a community that desperately needs us, okay? So Everman really does. And so, but also by having a space there, the ISD lets us borrow a space there. And because of that, it allows us to have services in Tarrant County. And so hopefully that's also going to grow some funding, because we don't just expect Burleson to take care of us. We're trying to reach out to Everman and other Tarrant County places, but we also want to be mindful of like Crowley House of Hope. I don't want to go after the same funders as they're going after, because there's so many out there, because we want them to be strong, because they're actually serving a different group of people than we are, even though we're really close, so it's that cooperation. And
it was your suggestion that I have Elizabeth on the show Thursday, and so I'm looking forward to hear about their operations. And I bet they're going to tell us the same story you're telling us.
I'm sure.
About needs. Because when I went to their pantry, they had a lot of green beans too for some reason.
Because they're cheap. And everybody buys green beans.
I'm
not ungrateful. Don't hear me say I'm ungrateful. It's just people don't realize that. They're like, hey, these are cheap. I can buy lots of them. Yeah. And they don't realize everybody else is thinking the same thing. And
I just thought that was funny. But their shelves are spare as well.
Yeah.
Because this is not just a Burleson issue. This is a regional issue, national issue.
Texas is one of the highest in food insecurity in the nation.
Yeah. I've read that too. And there's a lot of ways we could fix that, but somebody won't like it in Austin. So there you go. But I think a lot of it also is that people, they'll fixate on the choices that some of these people have made in their lives. They'll say things like, well, they have a cell phone. They don't need help, or, whatever. And,
you try to live without a cell phone.
Yeah, I'm just saying, wait a minute now. There are reasons why people get to where they are, and it has nothing to do with they have a cell phone, they bought a cell phone, or they say, well, look at the car they just pulled up in. They can afford the food. They're just scamming.
I have no idea.
They have no idea at all.
I had to have that conversation. It was just a couple days ago, because they're like, somebody came through with the Land Rover. I'm like, it may not be theirs. They may have been able to afford it when they got it. And now there's so many things. And if you're looking at, so that's like middle class. But when you're talking, if you really want to get me going, when you're talking about people who are in generational poverty or in extreme crisis poverty are like, well, they're on drugs, they're an alcoholic. I'm like, you do not know the trauma in their life. You do not know what brought them to that place. And that is why we want to help restore them. It is not just get your budget in order. It's not that. That's part of the puzzle.
Right.
How many of you have your budget in order? Because like mine's like, let's just be real. A lot of people do not have good budgets. And there are so many reasons that people could not even comprehend that was somebody's life as to why they're in the situation they're in. And sometimes people just make dumb choices. But like I heard there's an organization that does, I can't remember what the name of it, but I really want to reach out to this lady. It's in Arlington. And they help people like felons get out of jail and find jobs and all that. Because here's the reality. There are people who are criminals who like make choices over and over that are criminals. And then you have people who make mistakes. And a lot of those people who make mistakes, that prevents them from ever moving forward because they have a felony. They can't get jobs. They can't rent houses. And then they become the criminals who do it over because they're just trying to survive. And I'm not excusing or condoning or any of that. There's just more to the story that a lot of times we don't know.
Well, I had that kind of conversation with somebody a little while back that they basically said if they had these assets in their life, they should be able to take care of themselves for food needs and whatever else. And I was trying to tell them, what would happen if you lost your job right now? What would you do? And they'd say, well, I might sell my car. So how do you know they haven't done that already? Plus the fact that
how you get to work on a new job if you don't have a car.
Right. And so, you may find yourself, or I might find myself in a situation that I need for 2 or 3 months. I need some food security. Thank God I've never had to be in that situation. And if I did, I know I have family that could help me with that, but not everybody has family that can help them with that.
Yep.
And not everybody is in a situation where they can just, I'll just sell my stocks. Or, it doesn't work that way. It is concerning to me as a nation how many people go check to check, paycheck to paycheck. And if they miss one paycheck, it's a crisis. I read that nearly over half the American people could not afford a $400 unexpected expense. And
up until recently, that's been my life too. I could probably now. But unfortunately, that's been because I've lost some parents and I have received some small inheritance, and they were very small. But then it went to somewhere that it created a savings that's bigger than, I'm certainly not even close to rich, and it's not a lot of money by any means. But I had to lose a lot for that.
Plus the fact is that our credit card debt's at an all-time high because a lot of people are, I don't have the income, but I still got to have these needs taken care of, and they're charging and everything, and they're maxing out their cards. Yep. More than one sometimes. And so if they ever recover, they're under such tremendous debt load. I don't even want to get started on that. That's a whole show right there.
It is.
But anyway.
People in Burleson need help. Harvest House is just trying to be a good steward, a good conduit. I mean, we really try to be good stewards of the gifts given to us. We try to make sure people have what they need. We want it to be good, fresh, healthy food and not just a bunch of junk. I mean, we have enough junk to give away, but we need your help. And that's just the end of the day. We need meat. We need fresh vegetables. We need dairy, like milk, eggs, all the time. If you have a garden, consider sharing. If you want to just order it, have it delivered to Kroger. Like this morning, what I did is I went through my pantry and I looked at good items that I have, and I'm like, you know what? My kids have decided they don't like this anymore. And so I took it out and I brought it to Harvest House. Totally within date, all good. But sometimes I buy things because you know how kids like something one time and then you buy it again and then they hate it. So I just went through mine are like that.
Well, we're going to have to finish up here really quickly, but there's one product you need that had really gotten expensive is cereal, right?
Oh my gosh. We always need breakfast items, oatmeal, cereal, breakfast bars.
I just threw that out there because I read that breakfast cereals and whatnot have been one of the most impacted by inflation.
Interesting. I will give a little hint. I'm sorry to all the grocery stores that support us, but Aldi is the cheapest for cereal, and it's just fine. It's good.
Well, I think everybody knows that. I think HEB knows Aldi is cheaper, but HEB has other values and it can
but HEB, I love HEB. But HEB's pasta tends to be cheaper.
Well, how about that?
I know, weird, right?
Yeah. Well, we're going to finish up here because Taylor has another guest coming in pretty soon. Mr. Pastor Brewer's coming pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so you finish up. Tell us what we need to know.
Well, go to yourharvesthouse.org. You can donate. You can buy your tickets for Vineyard Vibes. Don't forget your can of food first on Sunday. It's 1 to 6 p.m. at Lost Oak. It's come and go. It's a music festival. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. It is always my favorite day of the year because even though there's anxiety getting up to it, once it goes, it is just a fun.
Yeah, there's Marty Pereira who says Winco. Winco is also a discount grocery store as well.
Excellent. Hi, Marty.
Right. You know Marty?
I do. I think he's at Harvest House right now.
Is he? Okay.
Are you still there, Marty?
Okay.
Anyway.
But anyway, we put the poster back up there so people could see it, and you'll check out the QR
These are
code.
all around town in restaurants, or you can just go to our website, yourharvesthouse.org, to buy a ticket. And I am so excited to see everybody. Bring your friends. Kids are welcome. It's not like some big party. It's a very family-friendly event. It's just a fun time to come and chill out.
Mm-hmm. I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, are you coming?
Yes, it's on the schedule. Like I was going to go to ASD until I was told about the funeral.
Okay, well,
but anyway,
there's not going to be a funeral, so come.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's hope not. But anyway, no, I'm going to tell Robin. I have to remind Robin. I told her a couple of weeks ago to see what we can do about that. But
sounds good.
I have to remind her because we forget things.
I never forget anything.
I couldn't resist.
Thank you,
anyway,
Taylor.
All right.
Okay, I will see you later.
You're right. All right. Thank y'all. See you Sunday, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.